The Texans and Chiefs rookies reported today to their respective facilities. Now, the Chiefs are usually in St. Joseph, Missouri for their training camp, but had to stay in Kansas City because of COVID-19. And to expand themselves outside of the facility to make more room to guidelines, Andy Reid is using Arrowhead Stadium just across the parking lot.
All right, Mark, so we pull into the lot and then we go to the green tent to do our check-in, temperature check, and then we'll go into the trailer to get your nasal swab for today.
So players will do this every day. You've already tested all our coaches, all our staff, anybody who would have any sort of contact with any player?
Yes, so we're in a tier system, so tier 1 has direct hands-on contact with players, equipment managers, athletic trainers, coaches. And then tier 2 has some contact, but it's a little less direct. And then tier 3 actually work in the building, but they don't come in contact with the player.
So let's talk about the detail here. So when people are coming up, because this is going to be, today it's light because we're before the storm really hits with all the players, and social distancing stickers on the ground so people know to stay 6 feet apart even when they're waiting.
Yes.
And then I'll come up and I'll get my temperature checked every single time I come here.
So I see you've already filled out the app, Mark.
Yep.
We have an app for players and employees so that they can fill out the questions to make sure that they haven't had a sore throat, runny nose, loss of taste or smell. If you would have answered one of the questions positive, I would have gotten an alert to my phone and I would have stopped the process and talked to you. And so tier 1 gives you access. Let's give him a tracker. So you put a tracker in here. And now, because Mark and I are both tier 1s, we can be in contact with each other. If a tier 3 has, and I was a tier 3 and Mark was a tier 1, this would start beeping to say tier 3 and tier 1 shouldn't be near each other.
This will register that you and I are near each other, even though we're both tier 1s. And then if a tier 3 comes near you, it'll start beeping.
Yeah, and so then, let's say that you would test positive this morning. They would go back and track who you've had 10 minutes of contact with within 6 feet. So this registers at 6, it actually starts to register at 10 feet, but at 6 feet, it starts to record how much time I'm with you.
Got it. All right, so once I do this, then I'm going in to get tested.
Right.
Morning. How you guys doing? Yep. All right,
You'll come back and see bioreferences text and they'll give you a swab.
All right, if you just want to verify your information again.
Okay.
Put your head back.
Nothing to it.
That's it.
Thank you, Sarah.
So it's that simple, Mark.
So that was the swab test for COVID, right?
Right? That's a PCR test we get in 24 hours. So that just gives us a better idea of what our population is and where we're at with those tests.
So players will drive here, coaches will drive here, anybody in tier 1 will drive here, they'll check in here. But now it gets really interesting to see how we're totally changing training camp because we've totally revamped our entire facility to accommodate this. So this will be a little different for our players. This is usually your pregame mode for an actual game. And now you're actually going to be getting ready for the beginning of a day.
I wonder if Miko is going to dress in some kind of wild gear every day for practice.
That's a good question.
So as you come down here, this is normally visiting locker room. This will be where the DBs and linebackers will dress. The defensive line has a big spaced out area in there.
So this is really the start of what we had to do to take this facility and completely rethink it, right? You had to look at, okay, what are our options? What are all the opportunities? How do we make it as consistent as possible to training camp for the players and coaches, but do it in a different way? This is the visiting team locker room. That's the visiting coaches locker room. We're just changing it over to DBs and linebackers and D-line and still giving them space.
Yeah, we had to get creative because our lockers are right next to each other at the practice facility and they're great, but we needed to put 6 feet between them. So we had to use a bunch of different locker rooms here at the stadium that we have. We also, where the officials normally dress, we have camp staff. Then our home locker room, which is most of the offense other than a few players because we had to space it out.
I think that's an important point for our fans to know is like those are actually where they'll be that's their locker. So they're so used, this is their team locker room,
Right.
and it won't be. It'll just be for a big portion of the offense.
So if you look over here, we've put the plexiglass up. We haven't taken the plastic off yet. So if you look here, you have Miko's locker, empty locker, and then Byron Pringle's locker, so that there's spacing here so they can get dressed without being within 6 feet.
So if you're
of
in
each other.
that locker room and I'm in this locker, that's the idea, right? I mean, you've got
Correct.
nice
So this
separation.
this is Dieter's locker. You're over in Pringle's, and there's some privacy here. We've also added, where we give them their own caddy of things, where normally we would have shampoo and soap and whatnot in the shower. Now they have their own caddy so that they're not sharing items. So if you look at this, Mark, we've had to go away from our big pumps and go individual containers of Flexol and Vaseline lotion and Tiger Balm, and then we put gloves out. And then this athletic training room is usually a little bit more crowded than this, but we've had to spread the tables out to keep them 6 feet apart. It's a requirement that we disinfect the table in between and put towels down, and then put the towels into the laundry with each use.
You'll test, you walk down the tunnel, you go to your locker, you'll get everything you need done here. So when you leave here, you'll be ready for practice.
Ready for a practice when we leave here. And we'll take golf carts and some vehicles down to the practice field. We'll practice. Now we still have a setup down there that's socially distant, so that if I get somebody hurt during the practice, I can take them into our athletic training room, or I can take them down to MRI or X-ray. And we'll see how it works. I'm sure that we'll have some hiccups along the way, but we're prepared now.
Yep.
The other thing is this facility will be cleaned 3 times a day. So before the players get here, it'll be cleaned extensively. And then when they go to practice, the facilities crew will come in here and spray it again. And then after they shower and everything, they'll spray it again. So minimum 3 times a day, but it'll probably be 4 or 5 times a day. This is actually the quarterbacks, and this is a better look because the plexiglass is actually up. There's Pat's locker. They have plenty of space in here.
And we'll use all the showers. Typically, we all shower there.
Yeah, we'll use
these
this shower as well. And we've done everything possible to keep them distant. You got to imagine when we took this project on, we sat down and figured it out on paper and then started to implement it. And then we had to write our own what's called an infectious disease emergency response document, which is 30 pages long, that's specific to our facility. So we take the 80 pages of protocol and we kind of dwindle it down, specific for Arrowhead, specific for the practice facility. We certainly don't want any of our players, coaches, or staff getting ill, and we're going to do everything we can to try to avoid that.
All right.
Hey, Mark.
Mitch, how we doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. Rick
Excellent.
just took me through what our players are going to go through from the beginning of the day till getting dressed and everything else.
Well, this is where we're going to feed the guys breakfast and snack. It's changed quite a bit. Food will be by far the biggest difference on how we feed these guys with all the new protocols, but we found a good way to do it.
This is our locker room club, which is where a certain group of fans get to actually see our players come in and out of the locker room pregame, halftime, and postgame. It's an example of what we had to look at and say, what space do we have? How can we convert it? And how do we make it as efficient as possible?
Yep, we're using multiple locker rooms to keep guys spread out. You'll see the seating is individual seats or seats spread out. A lot of grab and goes, even as simple as the coffee bar. We'll have someone serving it for them with gloves on, so you don't have multiple people touching anything. We still want to give them all the options that they're accustomed to having. It's just the different processes that we're going through to get it done. And then they'll head up from here and go up to the meeting space.
All right, so we just came up from the locker room, club area breakfast. Now you're on what is typically our club level. And we're in the signature suite area right now. That's one of the elevators our players and coaches can use. And then they'll come out on our club level. And what will they do here?
This is where we're going to have meeting space for the entire team spread out throughout the whole club level. We have to keep everyone 6 feet apart, so we needed this amount of space to be able to do so. Our events operation team, they did a great job in mocking this up on drawings and putting the plan together. And then our facilities team knocked it out of the park and got it all set up and running. Our video staff, there's a lot of people, there's a whole team behind the scenes that it takes to get this set up and running, but we're good to go and ready to roll.
This is a team meeting room
So this is just defense. This is half
This is
the
just
team.
half the team.
You can tell what the space we need. This is just for defense. And then when they break out, going to be where the defensive backs are. And we're spread out throughout the entire stadium. So we've got a bunch of electric golf carts to get everybody around in a timely fashion.
This whole experience is different. This part is odd.
Very.
We're riding a golf cart through our club
Very.
level. And this is going to happen every single day
Every
with
day.
our players and coaches.
Multiple times a day to get them to meetings and back from meetings. We try to keep the schedule rolling as quickly as possible. You can see, put up the one-way golf cart traffic, so no accidents will take place.
Most of our players have never been on our club level.
That's correct.
This is going to be
Yeah, it'll be fun to show it off to them, how nice it is. We've gone through great lengths to create a schedule to implement everything we still need to get done and need to be functional and also get the stadium ready to host a game.
I think what's keeping us all going is the excitement of we're close.
Yes.
And we're actually going to be close to seeing our players here and utilizing this space.
Excited to get it going. So this will be our team meeting room over here. So again, making do the best we can with the space that we have. This is seating for 97. So our whole team plus some coaches be able to have a team meeting in person, but socially distant. And then when coach breaks up the team meeting and they split into individual, we've used some suites for the guys to be in. This is the tight end room.
So just using a different space, this is actually one of our game day suites. And because the tight end group is a smaller group, we can actually use this space for that positioned group.
Yep. Running backs. We were so used to going up to St. Joseph and kind of having it turnkey for us, and it was a challenge and a scramble to get set up here, but overcome some adversity, and thanks to a great group of people with our facilities staff and event operations, we really were able to get it done.
Yep. Adapt and overcome.
That's the name of the game.
You're going to be in a team meeting, and I don't think this player has ever been that far from another player
never.
in a team meeting.
There's now one team meeting room built in any facility that can handle social distancing. But here we're able to adapt and overcome, like you said, find a way to get it done.
All right, so we had breakfast outside the locker room. This is where we'll do lunch and dinner.
That's correct. A little bit more space. Guys have a little bit more time to spread out and sit down and grab a meal. And dinner is really the one meal where coaches, players, everybody that's working at camp has that window of time to come over and eat together. We're used to having tables with 8 chairs, 10 chairs. Guys love to get together, but we've got to limit that a little bit and keep guys spread out.
I would bet almost all have never seen the Founders Club.
None.
So they're going to be able to see
Yeah.
the history of our team like they've never seen it before, something our fans get to see every game, but this will be new for them.
I'm excited to get the guys back in here and show them how prepared we are. And we've never been able to prepare or plan for anything like this. So. Keeps us on our toes.